Real news. Honest and fun political talk weekly on the line 90.7 FM. Well, as we came on air here, there was a shooting taking place in Texas. At least 5 killed in West Texas shooting. I think 10 injured, but that number may have gone up. 21 injured in Odessa, Texas. There was somebody, they hijacked a mail truck and began shooting at random. Oh, that's pretty sad. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like these mass shootings, I don't have much to say anymore. It's just the same thing over and over again. I honestly don't think this is a problem that can be easily solved. There's a lot of things you have to do, and it's complicated, and no side's really gonna like it. You know what? You know it takes to fix things or not fix things.
I feel like it's like to talk about this sort of thing. I feel like we're just like regurgitating, repeating everything that
Exactly.
you know we've been saying how we feel in nauseum about this sort of thing, and you know, thoughts and prayers go out to the victims. But like I can feel, because we've seen this movie play too many times.
Right.
I can feel the mainstream media come completely going gung-ho once again,
so to speak.
Yeah. It's like it's oh geez, I'm not looking forward to that at all, but we're gonna be here regardless. And yeah, I feel, and I don't know if you're with me on this, Sean. I feel like even though we get sick and tired of defending ourselves, like we have to.
Yeah, you can't stop, or else they win. You can't
stop. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, look, and by them winning, that means you're no longer. It could mean the end of you owning a gun or having to go through ridiculous loopholes, and like, you know, they're going to completely infringe on your gun rights. And no. We have to defend that. We have to defend that until the very end. We have to.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a little give and take sometimes. Like, there are definitely things that need to happen. The gun side's not going to like, but that doesn't mean you stop fighting for some basic things that some people definitely want to take away. Like, there are people that want semi-automatics banned, but that's like 99% of guns in this country. So if you do that, that's absolutely silly. You can't fold on that. But there's things like, you know, okay, let's get into some trouble now. Red flag laws sound like a great idea, but they're terrible in execution. Dan Crenshaw made some tweets about it. And the thing he was getting hate for, I want to bring this up because it is important in multiple ways. Number one, he said that, you know, basically he was pro red flag law. But number two, this is the important caveat, he was talking about red flag laws in Texas, not the ones the liberals are pushing for nationwide. But the moral of this story is that communication and language is key, and the left has done a really good job of controlling the language. They know how to take it and mold it to what they want and to get a certain message out there or attach a certain meaning to it. They do this with the word racism, sexism, Nazi. They make words like triggered, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. They took the phrase red flag law, and it was so powerful the way they took it and framed it and defined it that nobody else could see it in any other more nuanced or different way. There's only one way to look at it, which is lefties creating a law that would allow people to complain about somebody and then take their guns. Like that's as simple as they, you know, the simple message that, you know, the right interprets it. So when Dan Crenshaw says something that may be totally accurate, it doesn't matter, because when you see red flag laws, you immediately think, somebody could complain about me and take my guns. That's all you see there. So we need to take back the language, make a language of our own, which is what Trump does with Build the Wall, America First, Make America Great Again. Don't let them take, you know, stuff and, you know, you got to reframe it, repackage it, or reword it.
No, you're right. You're right.
I know, because remember when I got a little bit of trouble for a different word I said.
You said kinks.
I
That's
did,
it.
I
You're good.
did, but
You're
I am
good.
being careful.
I know. I got you.
If Alex was on, he would have beaten me up for that one. But yeah, again, what I'm saying is because I think I said this on the Uncensored show, but I'll say here, I read 3 books over the summer that everybody should read that wants to win in politics: The Art of the Deal, The Prince by Machiavelli, and Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Art of the Deal teaches you how to make deals, teaches you how to persuade a little bit, teaches you how to handle the press a little bit. It's a very good read. Machiavelli's The Prince teaches you how to maintain power and how maybe to think more strategically. The Rules for Radicals, best thing I ever read of all those 3, because it teaches you how political activism works and how to be effective at it. And it teaches you all the tactics that the left uses that the right can use and should use in many respects. And you do see both sides using it, and it's fascinating read. Love it. So recommend that. And you would understand then what I'm talking about with controlling the language, with a bunch of other things I'll talk about. It all makes sense if you read the political playbook that is Rules for Radicals.
Agreed. But I mean, it's really easy to control the narrative and control the definitions when you own the majority of the media.
Exactly.
Like, it's like there's not very many at all. And by at all, I mean like media outlets that aren't like anti-Trump. You got your MSNBC, your CNN, your, the CBS. You got like, every channel you look up. Like even cable. Like you get Comcast, and it's like, and all of that has like, you have all the darn near all the channels. I had when I was still up there, I had my Windstream cable account.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, so I think they had like the news stations, all the other news stations like your CNN, MSNBC, whatever, in like the 20s or the 30s group, right? The channel numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had like Fox News in the 78 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but it was like out there. Like Fox News was out there to the other channel selections. I'm like, wow. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, they can do little sneaky stuff like that for sure, which is always annoying. But we gotta deal with it. Let's see. I'm gonna wait a little because we're almost at the top of the hour. We're gonna switch over, so I'll just spitball a little bit here. Because we'll talk about something I'll ask after the top of the hour. But is there anything that's been going on in your life that's interesting at all you want to bring up?
Not really. I'm working and I'm living vicariously through you right now. With all the, with all the TP stuff and all the, I hear you're in a sociology class. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I should talk about that. Your favorite subject. I'm taking Sam Richards. I'm taking Sam Richards' famous Social 119 class, which is a sociology class about race relations. And the other day I was in the class, it was actually the day of the involvement fair and the Turning Point meeting was Sam's class. And look, Sam Richards, I met the guy before when we tried to host stuff for Turning Point USA. He's a nice guy. Give him that, he's a nice guy. And he always tries to be fair, and he always tries to be supportive to no matter who you are. I give him a lot of credit for that to help make you comfortable in his class and willing to speak up. Because the class of over 700 people, it's a big class. And that's also the venue that we held Campus Clashing with Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Charlie Kirk back in April. And so I was in the class, and we were defining words. And he asked us then to define the word social justice warrior. And he'd have people come up to define these words, and he'd pick certain types of people. So he said for social justice warrior, he says, I need a conservative. Anybody here that's conservative? And I was just, when I heard that, I was ready to put my hand up. I literally just was starting to pull it up, and the guy in front of me already put his hand up. So he picked him, he got up there. That guy, I don't know how conservative he really was, or if he was just hiding, his conservatism a little bit. He might have been a little scared, which is perfectly understandable on a college campus. But then he said, after the guy was kind of sort of defining it, he said, well, is there anybody here from College Republicans or Young Americans for Liberty? Is there anybody here from College Republicans? And I put my hand up. And he said, hey, what are you? And I said, I'm Sean Semenko, and I'm the president of Turning Point USA. He's like, oh, come up here. Yeah, he was getting all excited. So I was like, oh, boy, I'm in the hot seat now. So I got up there. I defined a term as best I could and all that jazz. But what was interesting is I think I got some ugly looks in the audience, and he asked, like, how many here are social justice warriors? Only like 5, like quite a few hands went up, like 5, 10 hands went up, that actually identifies as social justice warrior, which is such a negative term. And
I noticed because he's on YouTube, and yeah, and you were on YouTube. Apparently, you're.
I'm on the thumbnail now too. I'm on the thumbnail.
Yeah. Oh yeah, hey, you had to sign that waiver.
Yeah, no, I did twice.
Yeah. So like originally, I didn't see very many hands up. Like when he asked that,
there were more because when I was looking. Yeah.
Well, at first, no, and then the guy next to you was like, if Ben Shapiro came on campus to speak, how many of you would
have an issue with this? What he said.
With that issue, and then more people started raising their hands.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, Ben Shapiro has come here, and there have been protests, and they try to shut him down. I didn't think I'd get the shut him down part in, but yeah, that's the thing. Now, when Turning Point brings our speakers in. I'll just say in the fall and in the spring, all the hands are going to go up when they find out who our speakers are. Holy crap. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, a lot of people had a problem with that, which is pretty sad. But it went over well. Nobody hated me yet. But when I start getting a little more provocative or fun in that class, going to trigger a few people. But it was an interesting experience, so I bet I'm going to be going up there quite a few more times because he knows me now. He knows my face, and he knows I'm one of 2 people that's not afraid to say I'm conservative. Most people, there's probably more conservatives in there, but they're afraid to say it. I know people that been in class are afraid to say it.
It's understandable, too, because, like, look, who wants to not only go in front of 700 people and admit you're a conservative, but who wants to be on YouTube, on a streaming YouTube platform, and tell the whole world that you're a conservative?
Me.
Like, it's not. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, look, I give you props. You had.
Oh, thank you.
That's a lot of stones coming up there, but yeah, there's a lot. I mean, and then there's retaliation for stuff like that. It's like at first it's gonna be like. It's going to be just scoffs or whatever. But if you start becoming a legitimate figure, like people are going to start upping the ante just because, you're maintaining yourself. You're creating this,
You have power now.
Yeah.
I think Alex just popped in and out. Well, when he comes back in, I'll ask him what he thought of the Sam Richards thing. But yeah, you made a good analysis there. It's what was I gonna say? Losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, even Sam Richards said that if there's one thing that's not allowed on a liberal college campus, it's to be a conservative. That's just not allowed. I'm like, look, Sam Richards is a pretty liberal guy, I'd say. Maybe even a centrist on some things, but even he admits that you cannot be conservative on a campus. And he's right. But I think we have a new our guy on. We have not new co-host, our usual co-host back on. You there, Alex?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey,
Alex, you're a new guy. Isn't that awesome?
A new guy for this hour.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. But what's been going on, guys? What do you guys talk about last hour?
Well, I got on at the bottom of that hour, so we didn't talk too much. We talked about the shooting that happened We're also talking about Sam Richards' class I'm in. Did you see the little video that I was online where I was actually in front of his class for a few minutes?
She did not watch that yet.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, it's interesting how these shootings, they always seem to happen when Trump's having a decent news cycle. I
Yeah.
don't know, that just seems a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
You know, it's like every time, now we just had the Epstein stuff, and the last time was when that Epstein stuff first started. You know, it's just weird.
It is a bit eerie, I will say.
I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, these are being caused by the Democrats. I'm thinking what's happening is people are just choosing to report on stuff at opportune moments. Because it's funny, they just had that whole, like, where the ATF was doing some really shady stuff with the AA-12 shotguns. They're seizing guns that were lawfully purchased because they said the semi-automatic ones were similar to the fully automatic ones. Even though the semi-automatic ones are only semi-automatic, but because they had the receivers were both the same, they decided that that was no good. So the people who already purchased the guns, both the fully automatic and the semi-automatic ones, both legally purchased. The automatic ones were post 86 dealer samples. They decided to go and seize both of them. This was pretty breaking, where they just went and took lawfully acquired property, and they did not, to my knowledge, pay anyone compensation for that. So it's funny, they just had that, like this shooting just happened to happen like right around the same news cycle as this. And none of the big, news organizations were reporting on this. You can't trust the mainstream news. They don't tell you what's really going on.
But we do here at Real News. We always tell you what's going on, what the real red pill is of the matter.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, this was a true story. I've seen it, I've seen this posted all over those shooting forums and the various Facebook groups I'm a part of.
Yeah.
Where there's just like blatant gun seizures, and it's not even like it's an actually automatic shotgun. This is just, it's not much different than the shotgun that you'd purchase at Walmart, like a Benelli or something. We've had semi-automatic shotguns for, probably since the early 1900s.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the other thing I was gonna mention was we talked about Sam Richard. I was actually in the thumbnail of that video. Now I didn't tell you that, Alex, so they put me in there. But I wanted to talk about, I mean, there's not much happening in the news. I'll talk about one newsy thing that happened, which was Jack Dorsey's Twitter account was hacked, and the hackers took his Twitter account and started posting a bunch of, let's say, racist tweets where he would say some pretty bad words and a bunch of stuff like that. I don't think anything else has happened. Like, they got the account back and all that, but man, Jack, I think you should be banned from Twitter for that.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone actually hacked his account. Yeah, they could have done something like really like hilarious with it. And I guess it probably was pretty funny, but like they should have, if they hacked his account, like I don't know if they could add Alex Jones back.
Yes.
Or, like, be like hashtag Infowars.com or something.
Well, Milo was saying, it was like, oh, these are really pretty uncreative trolls, because he said he would have, if he hacked Jack's Twitter account, he would have tweeted something like Leslie Jones is a man or something. I forget what he said, but it was pretty funny. I was like, oh man, yeah. But that happened.
See what's going on with Hong Kong?
I seen that the protests are still happening, but has anything big happened yet? I don't think really. I think they brought in some more military, but that's really it.
Well, I see like the Mulan actress is like supporting Beijing, and then like
yeah,
a lot of Chinese nationals like abroad, they're like supporting Beijing over this, and they had a group of like the new rich in China. They're driving over there in like these $100,000+ cars and like laughing at the poor Hong Kong protesters because they're poor.
Oh really? Jeez.
Yeah, that's very communist of them. That's.
I'll say.
Yeah. That.
Oh, did everybody just get a Amber Alert?
Yeah, just got an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
No, that was in Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
Yeah, it says it is. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, sorry, Allegheny, PA.
Yeah. Well, It's Allegheny. Yeah, but no, there's a lot of stupid names in PA.
Hmm.
I so with China, right? It's crazy how much of a like a moral high horse there is, like with all these like successful people. It's like, oh, and then they're talking about how great China is at taking people out of poverty. I want to laugh because, like, okay, so their definition of taking people out of poverty is them making what, less than $2 an hour or something like
Yeah,
that.
sweatshop
Like, no,
factory.
the standard is like so low, and I'm like, look, you've got more people. Like seriously, you've got more people in China that are working for under sweatshop pay than we have people in the United States.
Mm.
Like it, it's like
I would say the poorest Americans got to be better off than a lot of the poorest of Chinese or the poorest Chinese.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like what was it in Hong Kong? I think, or one of those other places, they have old people living in. They have them living in cages over there. That's our government funded retirement homes.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
get to live in a zoo.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be interesting is that it'd be interesting to find out if we could know like how much of this protest is organic, how much is engineered. We talked about this a little before on the Uncensored show, which is that some of it's probably definitely organic, but there's probably a lot of engineering going on between fractions of the Communist Party where President Xi wants more power. And other factions of the Communist Party want to take out President Xi or limit his power.
Well, I think there's a lot of like non-Chinese intervention in there too. Like, I mean, I support them, but like not the Chinese. I think the Hong Kong people are pretty based. Like, it's funny.
They are.
Like, I've seen a lot of memes out there. It's like, make the United States of the Hong Kong protesters are like advocate, like they're thinking it is.
Well, they're waving
'Cause they're
American
like-
flags, literally.
They're like putting up signs and like, we wish we had the Second Amendment. They have like Pepe the Frog
Yes.
like, posters out there, and people
Yes.
are commenting on that
Yes.
because that's what they think America is.
Are they wrong?
Well, no, like that whole thing though with back to the comment about poverty. It's like, oh yeah, we're taking people out of poverty. Well, you know what else took people out? Like, you could argue that slavery
Capitalism.
took people out of poverty because they had a place to live. Like, that's not a very good argument.
Yeah.
You could make that argument. That's pretty much what the Chinese are doing. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you're not in poverty because we give you a house in your slave camp.
Yeah.
We give you like you're eating like food, which isn't even really food half the time. Like, I've seen videos of their markets over there, and they have food over there that's like, there's an egg, and they must have been so cheap where the egg, it was not even a real egg, it was made out of like wax and paint.
Ew.
They had like, they're so poor, I guess, or they're just so like scummy where they could save like like 0.01 cents instead of, because like eggs are cheap as heck. You ever went and bought eggs? Like, you can buy a whole like 60 eggs for like $3 if you know the right place. It's probably even cheaper in China. And for them to go and like make a bootleg egg, like counterfeit egg, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
That even exists. That's like, it probably more effort to go and make that in the United States, because someone has to go and like paint that and put that in there versus just picking it up from a hen. Like, that's more effort in my opinion than just getting a real egg. Just maybe give them an old egg. Like, I saw another one where they had like a smuggling ring. They were smuggling meat that was like made in the 70s into China from Vietnam. Like, and people are eating that. Like, literally, it was like meat from the Vietnam War. They were smuggling like into China, and people were selling that. Maybe it was vice versa, but either way, it's still disgusting.
Yeah.
it really is. I hate when people laud like I was listening to a little bit of Joe Rogan's podcast with Bernie Sanders. I didn't listen to much. I couldn't. But he was. I think he was like applauding China. He was China and addressing addressing the poverty issue, and like one of his main things that are his little campaign slogans or marketing ploy, whatever you want to call it, is he's trying to go after the 1%, right? He's trying to go after what?
Yeah.
Go after 1%, make them pay their fair share, and whatever that means. But like, so he's all about like, he's trying to really preach about like the wealth inequality, which is a thing everywhere. But in China, it's even worse. It is even worse because you have some cities like Macau and, you know, Shanghai. There's some of the most advanced cities in the world. And then you have towns in China that still don't even have electricity. Like it's that bad. Like it's like it's great. It's great if you're well off, but then again, it's probably great everywhere if you're well off. But you know, but what he's arguing is just it's hypocrisy to the 1,000,000th degree. Like,
well, they think that Trump's bad with the Muslims. Like, see what they're doing in China.
Oh, they're
Like,
putting them in concentration camps.
Way worse.
Yeah.
They're destroying like not even just the Muslims too. It's like the Christians. They're destroying churches and mosques.
Yeah.
And like forcing the Muslims into concentration camps where they force them to drink liquor and eat pork. Like it's ridiculous what's going on over there. But you know, Trump's a bad guy. You know, he's bad for trying to engage in a trade war with China.
How dare he?
Like, honestly, they should be sanctioned. Like, if any other country did, like, if Russia did this, you know, people, they'd be flipping out. Like, the Democrats would be calling for sanctions. But, you know, because the Democrat Party is in bed with the Chinese, you know, it's okay. It's not even just the Democrats, too, because there's these, you know, rhinos out there like, oh, I like my 1 cent, like, slave labor coffee cups for Starbucks or whatever they're buying over from there, like, literally everything else.
I
like
hate that argument.
Car parts.
I hate that argument that people make back to you when you say, you know, when you're pro tariffs against China, or you're pro bringing American jobs back, pro America first, they'll say, oh, but then your 50-cent pencil will now cost $3. I don't care, okay? I would gladly pay more for American-made products, and actually, they'd be made a heck of a lot better, and the price would eventually probably go down. Why are we so selfishly worried about things costing a bit more when we do, you know, trade off, I don't know, bringing a lot of jobs back, saving a lot of lives that are people that are caught up in the opioid crisis because their jobs been shipped away, that we're not having fentanyl shipped in through the United States Postal Service, and you're getting fentanyl in the mail. I mean, I would think I would pay a few cents more for a pencil if we could save American jobs and American lives. I think that's a pretty good trade-off.
Oh, yeah, but, you know, the Democrats, they really don't care about that because, like, look what they're doing with the energy policy. They want to go and make everything 100% green energy, but the only green they're forgetting is nuclear energy.
Which is the best option.
Yeah, it's actually more efficient to use nuclear energy than solar panels at this time. Like, it produces less CO2 because to create the solar panels, it requires you to extract minerals from third world countries.
Well,
conditions.
Yeah. Well, I've come to the conclusion after reading a lot about nuclear, and also Scott Adams talking a lot about it. Anybody that says they're pro environment or pro environmentalism or pro green energy and is anti-nuclear, they're not a credible source here. They're not credible at all. They're not pro environment if you're ignoring nuclear.
Well, yeah, did you look? I remember I watched the Joe Rogan with Dan Crenshaw, and he was talking about that Green New Deal in there. And he's right. Like, their whole thing with, you know, they say it's a Green New Deal, but it's not actually the Green New Deal because they don't care about the environment, or else they would be pro-nuclear energy. And, like, in Texas, they had a huge issue because like, in one part of Texas, they're switching away. It was, like, all solar and wind. And it caused, like, a 4,000 like a percent price increase because it must have been like a cloudy day with no wind,
Yeah.
and it like changed the price per megawatt hour from like $1 to like $4,000
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't have any backup generators because they decided to shut them all down.
Yeah.
And like it's happening in Germany too. Like they've had it where at certain times it'll just be like sky high prices, but then at other times there'll be a negative price. You'll be paid to use electricity because it's so backward.
Well, the problem is they're forcing innovation, they're forcing technological change that just isn't here yet, and they're forcing stuff that isn't ready. It's not ready, and it's not good. It's bad. You know, I mean, these people are very short-sighted on this, I'm afraid.
No, like nuclear is the way to go. But speaking of
100%.
nuclear, do you hear what happened in Russia?
Mm-mm.
Apparently, there's like a nuclear reactor that went kablooey.
Kablooey.
And they found out, yeah, like there was another like sort of Chernobyl style incident. It's ongoing. Like they've discovered it because there's like radiation spikes where the Russian media hasn't said anything about it yet.
Oh yeah. See,
But,
that's
yeah,
the
I
downside with old nuclear technology. Apparently, the newest Gen 4 doesn't have those issues, or it's easy to get to stop it. There's something that's better with it that makes it just sort of a no-brainer.
Well, I think it's not so much a problem with the technology; it's a problem with the people operating it. Like it's Russia. Come on, you would have thought they would have got it good. Like they would have learned their mistakes the first time. But no, and especially it's probably like an old Soviet plant too that was probably made in like 4 days, by slave labor under like Stalin or someone like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the best. Same thing with like China. They're not going to make the best when they're slave labor. Like over here, when you have nuclear engineers getting paid $100,000 plus, they'll probably make something that'll last a good few generations.
Mm-hmm.
But same thing with China too. Like they'll build a road in 4 days, but probably be completely destroyed in 4 years.
Yeah.
While over here, it'll probably take 4 years to build, but ideally it'll last like 40 years.
Yeah.
But it's Pennsylvania. It's probably not gonna last that long anyway.
I was gonna
It'll take
say,
twice as long to make.
we get a little bit of snow, and then you have a bunch of potholes they have to fill.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about one important cultural news. Has anybody here seen Dave Chappelle's new Netflix special, Sticks and Stones?
I have.
Oh, good. I have too. I don't think you've seen it, Alex.
No, I did not see it yet. I've heard it was triggering to some people.
Yes, it was.
Uh-huh.
I will say, look, I'm a fan of Chappelle. I think he, I haven't seen all the Chappelle show. I kind of should go back and watch that. But he's definitely very funny. Probably one of the top 10 comedians ever. I'm not the biggest Chappelle fan yet, and that's probably because I haven't seen all of his stuff. But I'd say he's, of the comedians alive today, definitely one of the best. Definitely one of the best alive.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, this new special... Or were you going to say something, Phil?
Yeah, no, I agree. I saw his when Half Baked came out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
One of my all-time favorites. I was like, how is this dude not famous? Like,
yeah.
And then I saw his I think it was an HBO special. It was Killing Them Softly.
Yeah.
It was a stand-up special, and it was hilarious. I'm like, this guy's gonna completely blow up.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he did. And I'm like, and he's so like, and if you see him live, he's one of those comedians that's just quick. Yeah, you ever go to you go to a comedy live show?
Yeah,
and you could tell that some of these people they're reading off of a
script.
They have a script in their mind or whatever, and it's like, and Dave Chappelle, he's so quick, he's so it's funny, and like there's only a handful of those people.
Yeah,
and he's one of them.
Have you seen him live?
I have.
Wow, lucky.
Yeah.
When was that?
Wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap either.
I bet not.
It was like in his earlier, like when it was right around the time when the Chappelle show first started.
Yeah.
and it was like I was in DC. It was like, oh, Dave Chappelle's here. I'm like, oh, I got to go see him. And it was before he really started getting expensive. Now his shows are even like, I don't know, they're astronaut, but it's worth it. Like it's so much worth it. But like it was, I mean, he's just. There's only a handful of those comedians. I can only think of like, I think of Joe Rogan. I think he's really funny on stand up. Louis C.K. He's another guy that's on funny. And Dave Chappelle he's funny, but it's like, it's on another level.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the comedians I'd say are quick and are currently living, I'm going to limit it to, that are just quick on their feet. Dave Chappelle, definitely. Ricky Gervais can be pretty quick too. Jeff Dunham, I remember when I saw him live here, I forget what was going on, but he was quick with the jokes, like some Sandusky jokes that he would just pop out. And I've seen like in some of his comedy specials, remember when one guy like during it had to like get up and go to the bathroom and he starts going after him? He just kept going, and it was funnier and funnier. And I'm like, man, this guy is talent. And I might see him again actually, but his ticket price have also gone up too, I'll say, because I got him for cheap the first time. But is it worth it? Look, I've never been to a concert. I know, bad me. But first time going to actual live performance was actually Jeff Dunham's comedy show, and I just loved it. It's another experience seeing it live, and I'm not one that will just say, oh, you gotta go see things live, man. But it's definitely a great experience. You get a lot of fun out of it. Everybody's laughing, and it's just cool seeing them too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's cool seeing them. But Dave Chappelle's new Netflix special, he's already done a few of Netflix. Netflix was smart to pick him up, let me tell you. He did a few that were all. I saw the first one he did. I didn't see the second special he did, or second or third special. I forget how many he's done so far. But I did see this recent one, and man, this is a superb special. The Ricky Gervais did one for Netflix too. It's superb too. I recommend everyone check out. This one's superb too, because Dave Chappelle, his comedy is very smart. Like, it makes you think, even if you disagree with him on some things. It just makes you think, and I always appreciate that in comedy. And he goes from talking about, starts off with the Me Too stuff, and has a great take on it. It's funny. And then he starts going into what he calls the alphabet people. Your L's and your G's and your B's and your T's. And that was pretty funny. And then he starts talking about the Jussie Smollett thing. And that was pretty funny too. I actually just finished a special today, so I have a few of these things in my mind, but it was pretty funny. I have to say, it was good. I'm glad that he's back on the map. What did you think of it, Phil?
It was a blast. It was a blast to watch. And seeing the negative post. I think Vice wrote a very semi-scathing article, and it was like that made me want. Honestly, it made me want to see it even more.
That's why I did see. I saw his blowback.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And one thing I will sometimes Netflix has stuff that's very political. Yeah, they're very progressive, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I will say they do take care of their stand-up comics. They do definitely take care of stand-up comics.
Yeah.
Which and a lot of them are good ones too. Like, you don't. But yeah, I like going back to stand-up comedy. You could tell, like, is it just me, or is it the stand-up comics that are all political tend to be like the worst ones?
Exactly.
Like really bad ones. Like
they're compensating.
Okay, let's take Amy Schumer.
I was thinking the same thing.
So when she first got into the industry, she was really funny, right? Her first stand-up comedies were funny. They were funny. They're very, very quick-witted, kind of catchy, whatever. And then and then she started getting political right at around the election time, right? Like a year before the election, she started getting real political, and they just started like the comedy specials just started tailing off, and I'm like, and once that happened, I was like, I don't want to see her I don't want to. I'm not paying money to see that. Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that like I almost feel like I almost feel like it's a like you're fun like you it seems to be like you ran out of ideas,
Literally.
so now you're going the political route.
Yeah,
like
she burned out
that's
all
what
her
it feels
ideas
like.
and material.
Maybe that's not the case.
But she also stole a lot of jokes too. Remember that? Are you guys not coming through?
What?
Oh, there it goes.
I hear you.
Yeah. Maybe Phil dropped out. Phil!
No.
We can't hear you.
No. Dude, I can't stand Amy Schumer. I was at a restaurant, must have been a while ago with my uncle. He called the waitress Amy Schumer. I don't think he realized that she's like mocked, because he probably said like, oh, it's a famous person, but he's like, she's also known as like Mrs. Potato Head.
Oh. Yeah, Amy Schumer's a terrible, talentless hack. I mean, maybe she had some material at the beginning, which was fine, but the thing is, I think she's probably lazy. I mean, that's a fair and accurate assessment, but she got lazy and didn't want to write new material, and then this is the result of it. So she started becoming a political activist, and well, nobody wants to see that. They want to see a comedian, not a political activist. And when you stop being funny and you start being political, people are going to tune you out. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's what that like, and there's a lot of those guys. There's a lot of those comedians too. It's like, like it feels to me like these comedians, they run out of ideas, like they run out of original material, so then they go the political route just to try to keep it up and running or whatever. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I think she's related to Chuck Schumer, right? Like Amy Schumer is?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she's related to Chuck Schumer. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's true. That's really funny too. I mean, makes sense based on their political views too.
Yeah, well, yeah, that
what do you
figures.
expect? She's a New York comedian. Like, the only person I've really seen who's been like really, any sort of right wing would have been Trump out of New York. Like, everyone else is pretty far left.
Yeah, Gavin McGinnis lives in New York.
Yeah,
I mean that's true.
I mean it, and like the entertainment industry has gotten real cutthroat too, on the political side. Like it's like you'll either conform to us or starve. It's like, well,
no.
You might want to be careful about that one, because talent.
Middle America's makes all the food. They just
right.
eat it.
Well, that you're right about that one. And at the end of the day, talent always wins. It always does.
Yes.
In the entertainment industry, talent always wins, right? The talented ones are the ones that tend to withstand everything. That's just my opinion.
No, I totally agree. Talent wins because people, yeah, and there's certain things you can kind of push without talent, but only for a short while. Eventually, people catch on. It's, for example, of Milo. I think we'd all agree he's an extremely talented guy. And people, when he had his little, controversy and then he stepped out of the spotlight for a bit, people thought he was done. People thought he was gone. People still think that. I look at him and I say, no. He still has talent. He always will, and that's not going to change just in a few months. He's going to come back. It just takes a little bit of time, but he has talent. I have to go let somebody in, so you guys got to keep talking for a bit.
Do we have a new guest?
I don't know if she'll come on. Let's see. She had to fill up her water bottle.
All right.
Oh.
Louis C.K. is another one too. like because he got in trouble with all that craziness that he did, and it like,
Dude, that was just beta behavior. If what actually
well,
happened was true.
some people like look, some people it's a weird proclivity. Don't get me wrong, but it's like
That is a
you're
beta
not.
proclivity. That's not an alpha,
No,
trait.
I'm not saying it's alpha. I'm just saying like at the end of the day, like he's still one of the funniest comedians out there. Like he's up there. And just now, like the last couple of months, he's had, he's went on stand up and he's packed the house. Like at the end of the day, people don't care. People don't care. They just like if I go out, okay, I'm already working. I'm already, trying to make a life, and my life is very stressful. It's very hectic and whatever. And like, so when I get off and I pay money to go see something, I want some entertainment. Like if I'm going to go pay for a comedy show, I want to laugh, right?
Yeah.
And if if Amy Schumer doesn't make me laugh, I'm not paying to see her, right? If Louis CK makes me laugh, shut up and take my money, right? It's a very easy concept to understand.
It is, and it's I it's depressing that we have to. Cause I think one thing I say it's for certain is that we haven't had entertainment this politicized, I would say, ever. Mm-hmm. It's pretty just annoying at this point. But if that's the way it has to be, then conservatives better start, supporting each other and getting into it more, getting into comedy, getting into movies. We need more of that. We need more Milos. We need more Crowders. We need more Jeff Dunhams. We need more of those people. But, unfortunately, there's not many.
They blacklisted, what's his face?
Alex Jones?
The guy that they always accused of being a mass shooter, but he's not
Sam Hyde, yeah.
Yeah, he was doing that stuff, and he got blacklisted from Comedy Central, and now he's like everywhere. Like that dude, he did some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, speaking of just kind of insanity happenings from the left, do you see what else happened today?
What is it?
There was a I believe they firebombed it was a DHS. It was a Florida Department of Homeland Security, Citizenship and Immigration Services facility. It was Friday.
Oh wow!
So,
see, I feared this stuff would start happening when you start calling ICE, a terrorist organization, basically like Nazis, and then the ICE facilities like concentration camps. This is what you're gonna get. Continue.
Well, it's funny to me how if Trump was, they say that Trump's responsible for the Texas shooter, then wouldn't you say that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would be responsible for the various ICE facilities that are being bombed and and set on fire?
Yeah.
Why is there a double standard here? Come on, guys, you can't blame one person, and which Trump never said anything that could be construed as supporting terrorism against immigrants. He never said anything like that, and he'd be against it. But Ocasio-Cortez and the Democrats as a whole, they have been basically dehumanizing immigrations and customs enforcement. They've been making that they want to abolish ICE. They call them terrible and racist and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're making them out to be subhuman. And I'm sure that the left, you never see this on CNN, or if it is on CNN, they'll brush it. It'll be on the bottom headlines that no one reads.
Yeah, it'll be on the ticker table.
Well, yeah. Elon Omar, you hear Elon Omar is getting investigated by the FEC for.
I heard that.
Some crazy, apparently she's being accused of some, improper use of funds.
Yeah, which wouldn't surprise me.
And then it's crazy. We found out because I guess she was she's also accused of having an affair with a married man, and the divorce proceedings brought it up. I guess it was like there's like divorce proceedings that brought the whole thing up.
Oh, you mean divorce with her brother?
Yeah, like it's crazy. No, she had. I guess she was. I don't know what. It's like. So you're telling me that a divorce proceeding started this whole FEC mess? I'm like, wow. Okay,
yeah.
What a crazy world. What a crazy world we live in.
Whoa, I just saw Beto O'Rourke's Twitter. I was just browsing Twitter, and it's a video of him giving a little like spiel. I guess it's about the shooting. And this is what Beto O'Rourke, his own Twitter, said. He said, "We don't know how many have been killed. We don't know the motivation. But here's what we know. This is effed up." And he didn't censor that. Is he trying to be edgy? Like, oh, I'm using F-bombs, man.
Yeah. Well, have you looked at his past where he was like talking about getting his, genitalia waxed?
What?
Well, he was like in some like hacker group in the 90s, like when he was in college,
yeah.
And he would make all these like just stupid, like I guess punk songs.
Yeah.
Like some anarcho collectivist or something.
An Ancol.
Yeah, he's like a goofball, just like all the stuff he was posting in there. And it translates to now he hasn't really changed all that much.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a goofy guy. He's just too goofy to win. Speaking of this sort of winning, I've told you guys about this, but I'll update all of our listeners. We had our first Turning Point USA at Penn State meeting on Thursday, the same day of the involvement fair. And it was interesting what happened on that day. I got to the involvement fair right when we set up, and I get there and I'm setting up, and the college Republicans are right next to us and the socialists are right next to us. So we're bookended by the CRs and the socialists, two competing factions here, but on different ends of the spectrum. Socialists set up with a literal communist flag, and they were the people there were what you expected them to look like, let's say. Everybody said that when they came up to us. And they were pretty low energy. They were trying to tell me how to recruit and how to give out flyers. I was like, okay, bucko, you want to tell me how to do this? Look at your shebang here you got. And so they were lecturing me on that. But then we were getting a lot of signups. We got at least 150 signups. It could be more like 200. I got to add them all tonight. But we got loads of signups. And a few hours into it, the CRs, the college Republicans, hadn't even shown up. I saw one of their board members, and he didn't even know what was going on. And I finally saw the president. They set up, and we were in front of the table, LI, Leadership Institute style, where we're talking to people, getting them to come up. We were being provocative, getting people's attention, being welcoming, and you're doing all the things you got to do to recruit. The college Republicans were just literally sitting on their behinds there, not even trying. I'm not trying to criticize them. This is just literally what they were doing. I'm like, are you guys a serious club? Are you trying to get people? And our first meeting we had that night, we got our biggest turnout ever. Our attendance was 60 people. We had 60 people in that room. Maybe more, actually. It was hard to count it. I kept counting. I kept hitting 60. I looked on Twitter at a picture of the college Dems meeting. They had about 50 people to 55, maybe 60. It was hard to count. They had about the same amount, if not less, than what we had. Now, that may sound like, you guys are pretty much 50-50 there. Like, that's not really a boastful achievement there, Sean. No, think about it. If conservatives represent just 5% of this campus, let's give it the benefit of the doubt that we represent 5% of this campus. That means there's over 2,000 people here that are conservative. 2,000, that's a generous guess, because we got, and another generous amount, 1,000 people out to see Don Jr. here. So there's probably like 1,000 conservatives here. If we even doubled that amount, we would still only make up 5% of this campus. But when they have 95% of this campus, at least on their side, they could only get 50 people to their meetings. That is pathetic. That's terrible. That is a shame. I am I'm just blown away how many people we got. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but I'm just genuinely surprised how many people we got out. It was awesome. And the meeting, we had great energy, great vibe, great atmosphere. It was amazing. Everybody was having fun. Everybody was laughing and engaged. Nobody was on their phones. They were all looking up, watching everyone, listening to everyone. And at the end, they even applauded because they loved what we were doing. And I'm just thrilled to see a conservative counterculture movement springing up on this campus. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I know you guys weren't there, but man, I wish you guys were.
Didn't you guys have a cake?
Oh, yes. Thank you. My girlfriend and also secretary on the board, we decided we'd bake a cake and also have pizza. So we got Domino's Pizza. Our treasurer was nice enough to bring that. And then we got the cakes baked. And so we thought, well, what could we do? We had one pan, and second we bought two to carry it in, but we bought one to bake it. And we're like, well, this might not be quite big enough. So we thought, we'll make one America, and then we made the other cake Greenland because we're gonna buy it. So it's perfect. So everybody liked that, and they liked the cake, they liked the pizza. It was fantastic. I was glad how everything went beautifully.
Yeah, so here's my little PSA as far as the involvement fair goes.
Sure.
So regardless of what you are, whoever's listening to this, if you're conservative, if you're liberal, if you're independent, if you're socialist, communist, whatever, regardless of who you are, the involvement fair is so important for an organization. It is crucial for an organization because that's where every organization goes. And so you have a whole lot of people that go to this thing to kind of figure out, well, what works for me? What can what do I relate to?
They're finding a place to fit in.
Find something. Right. And so like you were saying, even if it was just 5% of the people are concerned, that's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of people.
And you got to go there. You got to show up to get these people.
Right. Especially. And then I'm trying really hard not to single people out, but
that's fine.
But if you're not participating, it puts you at such a grave disadvantage.
Yeah.
A grave disadvantage. And if you're trying to ask for due money, right? Like, so some of these organizations, they ask for due money.
Republicans.
Yeah. So thanks.
You have a bit of a cough there. Just get that checked.
But I'm saying if you want to collect dues, that's fine, right? Some people need it to, run stuff or whatever. You better be at the involvement fair.
Yeah.
Because each sign up is potential
money,
funds that go into your program.
Yes.
And so for some of these people some of these organizations to either not show up at all or provide very little time at the involvement fair, that's just it. There's no excuse for that. There's absolutely no excuse for that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I want to piggyback off of that and say that, the amount of because I polled people in the group there, and we had about I think 10 seniors, quite a few juniors, quite a few sophomores, but overwhelming freshmen. And then I asked people, how many of you found us at the involvement fair? It was like 80% of the room. We got so many people from that involvement fair, and so many people that were just enthusiastic about getting involved. Like we talked about, you guys helped me out too with the idea of creating committees. It was one of the first things I thought we got to do. And I already got 2 people that came up that wanted to be on the charity committee. I got one guy that wanted to be on the debate committee, and he had a bunch of connections with some speakers that we could have that are politicians. And and we already have our Sunday Gunday thing up and rolling for next weekend. It's just, oh my God, I'm just so happy that it came out this way, because it's just a love fest in there. It's a love fest. Everybody's nice, happy, and having fun.
And I'll piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
And so all of that stuff happened. A lot of that stuff happened. Well, most of that stuff happened at the involvement fair. Like all of these guys that signed up for the involvement fair. These people came out. They want to be a part of something, and then this is what you're missing when you're not participating, right? You're missing out. First off, you're missing out on money if you get with the dues. You're missing out on potential leadership, and you're missing out on the future, right? You're harming the future, because these students only have 4 years, maybe, depending on if they decide to go do their master's or whatever. But like, you're missing out on that, right? So you gotta participate. You gotta participate for everybody else that's a part of is a part of organizations or whatever. That one meeting is so crucial.
Yes. And that's why I knew going into this. I knew, I'll reveal a little bit of my power level here. Number one, that the first impression, you got to nail it. You got to have that first meeting on point, and it's got to reflect what this organization is going to be about. It's got to reflect the best of the best. And number two, this is what Trump says in the Art of the Deal, and it's very true. Presentation goes a long ways. Don't give me any of those plain white PowerPoints with this boring text and small pictures. No, you need to be big, bold, professional, exciting, colorful. You need to present things well. Even the whole room needs to have a certain presentation. That's what I made sure happened this year. And I'm just saying, when you don't show up to the involvement fair, or when you do show up and it's a half lazy sort of effort, that's how clubs die. When you don't show up, that's how clubs die. I even am in a club that didn't show up, and I was kind of mad at them. But that's how clubs die. Because nobody's going to come to your thing. Nobody knows your thing exists. It's... Yeah. Man, I could rant about for hours.
I could too. And it's like, and some of these organizations that didn't show up, they have good people there. Like,
Absolutely.
There's good people that are in their organization. And you're railroading them too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You take other people down with you, and that's wrong in many ways. And it's gonna be interesting here. Let me tell you, whew, it's gonna be fun.
See, when the college Republicans didn't show up, you should have put like a little sign that said, "Go to Turning Point instead," and just like left it there and see how long it would take for them to notice it.
That would have been funny.
Just hijack.
Well, I think I'm going to make a prediction here. I bet our meeting's going to have a bigger turnout than the CR's first meeting. I'm just going to put that out there. I could be wrong, but the CRs are on a path to destruction, self-destruction, because of their laziness. I'm not afraid to say, look, I love to work with them. I love to collaborate. I love to do stuff with them. But if they're not going to put in the work, the results are going to show. We put in a lot of work. Our board members have worked super hard, and our members, and the results show.
You guys have a really good crew running that show over there. I am thoroughly impressed with your board.
I am impressed too. I mean, everybody pulled their weight and did a fantastic job. I love it. I'm coughing now, sorry.
Man. Yeah, you're all right?
I'm dying.
You're not getting the Walking Dead virus on me, are you?
Yeah, I might not make it to that second meeting already.
I think your club's definitely in good hands. Like, you're going to do great. Everyone else, I don't know. I don't know how the CRs are going to do. They've been going downhill since I was, like, in office.
Yeah.
Not in office. I was just working over there. Like, it's been a steady decline. Like, last year, I think it was, like, it was just trickling down. Then last year just kind of fell off a cliff. And this year it's like some of the people in there are good. Some other people who are in executive positions, yeah, I don't know how that's going to play out. But
well, I bet rumor has it that, and I won't reveal names, but rumor has it that one of their board members is dropping out. So It's not a good sign. Yeah, drama. drama. Yeah, anything else you guys want to say before we close out?
I don't think I got anything.
No, I don't got anything too. We can't do it all tonight. You know that, right? We got to save a little bit for you know
For next week.
Right.
Oh yeah, we got more
yeah,
in store.
Yeah, I think we hit most of the major things going on today.
Yeah, and we'll probably have a guest on next week, so we'll have much more to talk about then. But
oh shoot, they had the straight pride parade today, didn't they?
I thought about
did.
that. Milo was there, and he was wearing a "Make America Straight Again" hat. It looked pretty funny. So that was pretty funny. Yeah. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.